Look at him, eating whatever he wants, never gaining a pound, while I'm stuck with the boring special and can't lose an ounce.
How's your lunch, man?
Amazing. Yours?
So good.
Oh, I'm so happy for you.
Cool, buddy.
Weight loss isn't fair, but Mochi Health is. The affordable GLP-1 source that can fix your frustration with food.
So, same time next week?
No!
Definitely.
And your friends. Learn more at joinmochi.com. Mochi members have access to licensed physicians and nutritionists. Results may vary.
This episode of Voices for Justice is sponsored by Shopify. Starting a business is filled with a lot of what-ifs. What if I fail? What if nobody listens to the podcast? What if nobody cares? It can definitely be hard to get over that doubt and uncertainty, but making that leap was one of the best things I've ever done, and it's great to know that I'm not alone with a business partner like Shopify. Shopify is the commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world, and 10% of all e-commerce in the US, from household names like Heinz and Mattel to brands just getting started. And I'm telling you, their tools really do feel like you have a business partner. They have hundreds of ready-to-use templates to help build a beautiful online store that matches your brand. You can also get the word out like you have an entire marketing team behind you. Easily create email and social media campaigns wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling. And if you get stuck, Shopify is always there to help with their award-winning 24/7 customer service. It's time to turn those what-ifs into with Shopify today. Sign up for your $1 per month trial today at shopify.com/justice. Go to shopify.com/justice. That's shopify.com/justice. Hey guys, Voices for Justice will be back next week with a brand new episode. In the meantime, I wanted to share a preview of a new series from my friends at the Fall Line podcast. Starting January 11th, the Fall Line begins a 3-part series covering the cold case of Chairo Garibay Ferreyra. On December 11th, 2005, 20-year-old Chairo disappeared. She planned on attending church with her family in Olivehurst, California, but she never showed. Her family was immediately concerned. This wasn't like the responsible young adult they knew. She kept busy with work, family obligations, and preparation for college, which she planned to start in the new year. She was also looking forward to a family trip back to Mexico where she'd been born. She hadn't been back since they moved to the States, and she was excited. But Chairo wouldn't have that chance. Chairo was reported missing to the Yuba County Sheriff, and both her family and law enforcement began an exhaustive 5-week search that ended in the tragic discovery of her body in a drainage area near her own home. Though there would eventually be a $50,000 reward authorized in Chairo's case, no one has been arrested for her murder. Right now, I'm going to play you a clip from the first episode in the series. Head over to the Fall Line to follow Chairo's story and hear from her family, and what they and investigators hope can be done today. Find the Fall Line, a true crime podcast, anywhere you listen. And I'll see you next week for a brand new episode of Voices for Justice.
This is a 3-part series that will be released over 3 weeks. Please be sure to begin with episode 1. This series discusses crime scenes and murder. Listener discretion is advised. This is the Fall Line. In Olivehurst, California, in the last days of 2005, a 20-year-old named Chairo Garibay Ferreyra failed to arrive at church. Her family had gone on ahead and expected her to appear later. With some family members singing in the choir and a special program planned to celebrate the Virgin of Guadalupe, whose namesake feast fell on the next day, December 12th, Chairo's mother, Magdalena, and her stepfather, Lionel Sr., and her little brother and sister, Lionel Jr., called Junie by the family, and Marisol, all had to leave the house by 5:30 a.m. They piled into Lionel Sr.'s Dodge Ram for the trip, but Chairo had her own car, paid for by her job at the local video store, so she could sleep in a little and meet her family later. They'd be performing at 2 different masses that morning. Chairo would catch up in her 2002 Mercury Cougar. It was a vehicle her little brother and sister and cousins all loved. But Chairo Garibay never met her family at Mass. When her mother and father arrived home, her brother and sister had gone to their cousin's house to play. Chairo wasn't there either. But her purse and cell phone were still in her room, and her Mercury Cougar was still parked outside. Instead, the family's third car, a Toyota Camry that Magdalena drove, was gone. Something was wrong. Magdalena began to make calls. Their family was large and close-knit. The Ferreyra side was stretched across the little towns near Yuba City, like Olivehurst and Marysville, where most of the siblings and their grandmother and grandfather, Magdalena's parents, had settled. Call to call, person to person, then to Chairo's friends. She had many. The question was asked again and again. Where is she? They didn't have time to call the Yuba County Sheriff's Office. Deputies arrived at the family's door, but they hadn't found Chairo. According to the Appeal Democrat, the family's Toyota Camry had been discovered, quote, submerged in the Bear River next to a train trestle a half-mile east of Highway 70. That was an area a few miles from the family's home. That's right at the Yuba County and Sutter County lines. The car had been spotted, per the Democrat, by, quote, a nature photographer. It was just chance that the Camry had been found so soon. They'd followed the registration to Magdalena and Leonel's home. But there was no sign of Chairo, and there wouldn't be, not for days and days. Even with exhaustive ground searches, endless flyering by her family, sleepless nights, she had entirely disappeared. The only sign at the house that was unusual, law enforcement noted to the Democrat, was that there was an open window, and the screen to the window was laying outside on the ground. And it was unclear whether this had anything to do with her disappearance. Chairo vanished from her Northern California home, from her small town, on December 11th, 2005. In a community of roughly 13,000 people who, per the Appeal Democrat, at one point formed a hand-to-hand chain to search for her, it was difficult to imagine what could have happened. Chairo was a busy, well-liked, family-focused young adult with plans to attend college on the horizon. She'd graduated from the local high school. She was a popular staple at the counter at the local video store. She was well-known in her church community, in the Spanish-language youth group. She had friends, and people everywhere knew her. But no one came forward to say that they'd seen anything. No one ever entertained the idea that Chairo Garibay had run away or left her life behind. She's a good girl. That's what every news story echoed. The sheriff's investigators, her family, friends, the church, they all knew something had occurred. Chairo's parents had been home by 10:30 a.m. that Sunday, and in 5 hours, she was gone without a trace. On Wednesday, December 14th, 3 days after Chairo's disappearance, then Undersheriff Steve Durfer told the Sacramento Bee, quote, the circumstances are highly suspicious. We're not ruling out the possibility of foul play. We're not discounting any theory at this point. And soon, the word kidnapped began to appear in local news reports. It took a few days, but authorities were eventually able to narrow down what Chairo was likely wearing when she disappeared. Cowboy boots, jeans, a zip-up hoodie. She might have had on her favorite jewelry. Within a few days, the Appeal Democrat reported that the Yuba County Sheriff had set up a 24-hour tip line asking for any information pertaining to Chairo's disappearance. On December 15th, the paper described an extensive search with scent dogs along the banks of the river, and quotes from volunteers who joined in to aid the mission were included. Uriel Chavez, Chairo's cousin, told the Democrat, quote, I don't know why she's missing. She didn't have any enemies. And there were quotes from Chairo's boyfriend, her cousins, her aunts and uncles, and friends. So many people were worried. By the 20th of December, the paper reported that the same areas had been searched and searched again, especially, quote, along the Bear and Feather rivers, on foot and horse and all-terrain vehicles. Dogs had again been brought in. The force was largely volunteer and had help coming in from across the region, including outside Yuba County. Chairo's parents' house had become a home base for neighbors and volunteers and their large extended family who met to help with flyering and searches, anything that was needed. And in the afternoons, Magdalena, Chairo's mother, would sit and wait for news. But there was no news. Christmas passed. Relatives from other towns sent presents for Chairo, hoping she'd be home to open them. She missed the trip to Mexico that she'd planned on making with her family. It would have been the first time she had a chance to visit since she'd immigrated as a child. We first heard of Chairo Garibay when a listener of the show contacted us and asked us if we'd cover her case. Anna told us that Chairo was her partner's cousin. She told us that he and his family had been waiting for answers for a long time. As we messaged over Instagram, it soon became apparent how many people who loved Chairo would be willing to speak about her. Her cousins, Hansel and America and Gracia, her mother Magdalena, and her Aunt Carmen, who interviewed with Brooke with the translation help of our special content advisor and translator, Guadalupe Lopez, Chairo's brother Lionel, nicknamed Junie, and her sister Marisol, Chairo's high school friends, Ophelia and Ashley. There is a lot you need to know about Chairo. Her life didn't begin and end that day in December in Northern California when she promised to meet her family at church, but never made it there. And there's more to tell you about her case. But first, you need to know more about her. And then you'll discover what her family needs from you now, more than 17 years after police stood on their front porch, telling them their family car had been discovered in the river.
Es que antes de que naciera mi hija, ese nombre yo lo oí de una artista mexicana que tenía ese nombre se le puede poner niña o niño. Entonces dijo Chairo. Y a mí me gustó ese nombre luego.
That was Magdalena, Chairo's mother, talking about how she chose Chairo's name. She told us that she liked the name Chairo because it was gender neutral, and she first heard it as the name of a Mexican artist. She told us, quote, "One day my sister-in-law mentioned the name Yosefe, and I liked how it sounded, Chairo Yosefe, and so that's what we named her. The meaning for Chairo is welcome to this world, and Yosefe means white dove. The meaning is wonderful. That's why I loved it, and it fit her very well, because my daughter was always very happy. She had a smile that never went away. Today, many of her friends that I keep in touch with have told me they named their children after her, and it makes me very happy." Unlike her younger brother and sister, Chairo was born in Mexico. She moved with her mother and several other family members to California when she was young. She hadn't seen her biological father since then, and there were plans for her to meet with him when the family took their Christmas trip in 2005. But, of course, with her disappearance, that trip never came. No one wanted to leave, not even the city, to see family close by. They needed to be on hand to find her.
Insurance isn't one size fits all. That's why customers have enjoyed Progressive's Name Your Price tool for years now. With the Name Your Price tool, you tell them what you want to pay, and they'll show you options that fit your budget. So whether you're picking out your first policy or just looking for something that works better for you and your family, they make it easy to see your options. Visit Progressive.com. Find a rate that works for you with the Name Your Price tool. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
Hey, this is Rob Sesternino, and I am the author and narrator of The Tribe, and I Have Spoken. I am so excited to talk to you about Survivor, the lore and the legacy. How did we go from a phenomenon in Borneo in the year 2000 to where we are now in the new era with Survivor 50? So come on the journey of Survivor's lifetime with me. The Tribe and I Have Spoken is available now on Spotify and wherever audiobooks are sold.